Hey guys, it's Kim from Dodges and Daisies. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, welcome to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. I wanted to apologize for the delay in between videos. As most of you know, I am dealing with some chronic illness right now that really kind of knocks me out. It can knock me out from days to a time to weeks at a time. I've had moments where I've had about 3 weeks straight of illness where I couldn't leave bed, to do anything, even craft. So it just is what it is right now. I'm, taking things one day at a time, doing the best that I can. YouTube is something I truly enjoy with all of my heart. I'm so happy to have started this channel. And even though there might be some delay in between videos, for those of you who are patient and stick with me, I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Please know whenever I am able to create a video, I will be creating a video because it's something that brings me a lot of joy and I really enjoy hanging out with you guys. And when I can't, I can't. It's just something I've accepted, that I'm not able to do everything that I want to do right now. I am dealing with kind of somewhat of a diagnosis, not really a diagnosis, and I think until we kind of get what's going on figured out, diagnosed and treated, I don't really know when my health will improve until I'm kind of receiving treatment. So I'm just going to do the best I can and be grateful for the days I can craft with you guys. That said, I am having a good day today, so I am going to try to get a couple of videos done in a row that I can release over the next couple of weeks. So today is going to be one of our Carolina series, local travel journaling. For those of you guys who have been following along, I've been talking about how passionate I am about local travel, how there are times in life for me due to illness, or it can be due to financial restraint, or having busyness with family and kids and school. If you're somebody who's in college or university, there can be a number of reasons why you might not be able to take larger or longer trips at the moment, but that does not mean that if you enjoy seeing things, doing things, have a bit of a wanderlust spirit, that you can't still enjoy every moment that you can. So local traveling to me, because I am bedfast with illness for almost every day, became something that I was even more passionate about. It's always been something I've been passionate about. I've always been somebody that liked to explore local towns, local parks, find local fun things in nature, but it became even more of a passion of mine when it just turned out to be that I could only kind of get out of the house once every week, and that turned into once every 2 weeks, and that turned into just once or twice a month. I really just try to live those days to the fullest and to the best of my ability. A couple of days ago, I did have a good positive day. As you can see, I went foraging for wildflowers. It's one of my favorite things to do. They're on my desk today, and took a bunch of pictures, and I'll be sharing that video soon. So we have been working in this traveler's notebook. It is not a standard size traveler's notebook. I'd like to sometimes use something that's a little bit bigger. I feel like it gives more space for ephemera, for pictures, for writing. Up until this point, I hadn't filled out the writing, but I did use some of my days in bed to finish all of the entries that I had previously started. So all of the videos of all the things that we've previously done on this channel now have journaling to go along with them, and I am fully caught up in this journal. And today I thought Black Mountain would be the next thing that I shared about, because it was done on the same day. The same day we went to the Never Ending Flower Farm, which is my last video, we went to Black Mountain, but I feel like it's kind of like a mountain town. Even though we went in the summer, there's definitely a bit of like a woodlandy feel to it, so I felt like that could kind of lend itself more to a fall aesthetic. It's turning on the end of September, so I just felt like this Flora Asheville was done in July. It has a bit more of like botanicals and greens to it. I wanted to get that kind of out of the way first before I could fully dive into like fall journaling. I'm definitely one of those people that first day of September, all I want to do is journal with fall colors. But there were some over the summer things that I just wasn't healthy enough to record that I wanted to finish up. So today we're talking about Asheville, North Carolina. It's a pretty big city in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Most people in this area are very familiar with Asheville. We tend to go to one smaller section of it when we go. It's kind of like a West Village-y feel to it. It's a bit more hipster, it's a bit more quiet, it's not in the main part of the city, and when we go, we tend to enjoy that area more. There's a flower shop called Flora that is right conjoined with an old bookstore called Bagatelle Books. They sell both new and used books, flowers, coffee, because there's a coffee shop in Flora, plants. You guys know I love house plants, I love flowers, coffee is my happy place, used books are my happy place, so we tend to go to the conjoining Flora, Fauna, and Bagatelle Books when we go. I have been working on this little by little because, like I said, I haven't had a lot of energy to create, so I've kind of been creating in spurts. I wasn't really sure if I could film like the entire creative video today, so I've started working on it, but I will finish working on it with you guys and explain what I did. So this is the beginning pages. I'm doing this a little bit differently and a little bit different of style than I normally work in. Like I said, Flora is very botanical, very plant life. So I chose just kind of light colors, greens, and a little bit more, instead of vintage ephemera, a little bit more just like more modern ephemera mixed in with vintage things. And we are going to see there's kind of like a handmade paper theme as well throughout these pages. So the title page, Asheville, North Carolina, was in July. Flora and Bagatelle Books is already finished. And then I've started with a few other pages that we're just gonna finish decorating today and get ready for writing. So this is kind of basically done, but I just want to kind of make it prettier, if that makes sense. First day I worked on this, all I did was worry about the backgrounds. So I have this checkered washi tape that you can see I've used in other layouts. It's kind of just been a theme and an aesthetic with this book. I did a lot of that on these pages. It's just kind of an easy thing to have kind of running through as like a theme in your journals if you're trying to keep it into a bit of a cohesive feel. And then I used a lot of handmade paper. So I had these lovely circles of handmade paper from Kinga of Album Love Handmade, and I can leave her info in the description. And all I did was I put down my first layer. Sometimes I used a little bit of old book pages, sometimes I used a little bit of handmade paper, and then I just put these little circles down. So we can see that there's kind of a similarity between a lot of the pages and just the basic elements that were put down first. Another thing that I did was I tend to hoard larger botanical prints. I use a lot of them in my decorating on my walls in my studio, but smaller things that I can kind of cut out and fussy cut, I tend to use more in my journals. And I tend to, if these bigger prints aren't on my walls, just kind of hoard them. I like them too much to give them away, but I don't use them as much as I would like to. So there were a couple of pages I knew that this was going to be very plant life, very botanical, that I just decided to use these larger images, almost as like a background paper, similar to like a scrapbook paper. And you can see that there. Then again, I just used, for my second layer, that handmade paper, the circles and the little strips of paper. After that, I did add some lace. I've been really into vintage lace lately. I ordered a pack from Amy of Flashy May Designs and Flashy May Cottage. I can also leave her description, her info in the description below. I did set aside another little piece that I might add somewhere to another one of these pages, but I've just been really into vintage lace lately, and I think it just takes kind of like a normal page and really gives it a pop. So that's another thing. We can actually do that now. Find another spot to kind of add this lace to. And if we know it's going to be kind of on both sides, we can try to line it up. Now, I know a lot of people do use their sewing machines to attach fabric and lace and fibers. I personally don't. I am not a sewer, although that is something I would like to work on and grow in. But I just use staples. So I tend to, a lot of times, do an X with staples, so they kind of mimic stitches. I just kind of like the way that looks, but stapling is a really easy way to add fibers. You can also use glue. You do not need to be a skilled seamstress to add 3D elements into your journals. And as we can see, the X's also look cute on the other side, kind of like stitching. I made sure to measure this up where it wasn't going to be covering anything, but instead it looks like an embellishment on this side and on this side. And that kind of takes care of embellishing on two different pages. The fourth thing that I did, so again, these pages can look really, really complicated. They can seem overwhelming if you're beginning to, like a beginner journaler, or you're into more simple journaling. I'm kind of taking you step by step so you realize you can do things kind of in a layered approach and you don't have to figure everything out at once. So our first layer was simply the larger washi tape. Then we went in with the handmade paper and just some ripped, it's from like an old dictionary, just some ripped old book pages. Lace is a great way to just add oomph and definition to a page and make it really pop and stand out. But all I did was simply staple an old piece of lace in there, not complicated at all. Then I went back and I added photos from the day. So as you guys saw, it's a really beautiful place. The aesthetics are gorgeous. They're really talented with interior design there. So not only is it a beautiful shop for flowers and to get coffee and to sit and to relax, but there's an outside garden as well as you know, homemade beeswax candles. I'm burning one right now. Cups. You know, I thought this was so adorable the way there was chamomile that was stuck in a little teapot on like the snack counter. They have fresh clippings if you want to make bouquets. And then there's an outside garden as well that you can sit in, you know, have a glass of wine if you'd like. They do have stationery. Just really beautiful plant life. That was the plant that I bought that day. It's doing well. And then there's this outside forage garden, just really, really sweet. We had, I wouldn't say a glass of wine, it was a can of wine, but it was actually much better than I thought it would be. And they just have some vintage furniture. It's in a really historic part of the city, and the whole experience is just, it's just really, if you're like me and you're someone that just really gets a lot from like exterior like sensing, you just love to see beautiful things, you love to see, you know, people that have a really strong sense of aesthetic. I think a lot of artists are like that. We're very inspired but visually by things we see. This is just such a wonderful place just to kind of soak everything in. Every time I go, it just uplifts my mood. So yeah, I just printed out a bunch of photos from 2 separate times that we had gone, and then the photos were just the next thing that I added to these layers. This is a travel journal for me. Like I said, I am treating it, even though it's local travel. Flora is only about an hour and a half away from us. I treat it just like I would if we were in, well, we were in a different state, in a different city, but even like farther away than the next state over. I treat it just like I would any other travel journal. I take pictures of the things that I want to remember. I like to include photos in this because I feel like when I look through it, it really brings back memories if the photos are a part of my journaling. And I also a lot of times save actual pieces of ephemera from the day. So whenever you buy anything from Bagatelle Books, I always do, They give you this little bookmark, and it's like their business card, but it's a bookmark, and I thought that was really cute. There's normally like a quote on the other side. So adding a physical piece of ephemera from your day, they can be receipts, they can be business cards, they can be bookmarks, they can be pieces of like bags if you've bought anything. Which just reminded me, I did cut out from the bag of the little plant that I bought, the Flora stamp. So that again is a physical piece of ephemera from the day. These little tiny pieces are just pieces that I find that when you look back on your journals, if you have these little like actual physical pieces from the day, it just brings a whole nother level to your travel journals. It just reignites your memories, it reignites the feelings that you felt there, the things you saw there, the experiences that you had. And I also got this little local artist sticker, Plants Are Therapy. I just love that. So the sticker I bought there, the piece of bag from the plant that I bought, and the little bookmark. So I'm actually going to add these two over here because this will kind of be like our little ephemera page. So there we go. We can leave that as is, or we can go back and decorate it a little bit more like we are going to be doing on the other pages. But this is just one of those pages in here that I feel like just makes this travel journal a bit more of an authentic and just kind of visceral experience. When you're looking through, there's going to be written journaling here. We do have photos from the day, and we also have ephemera pieces. So I feel like it will be a very immersive memory when I go through and I read these things. So if you are taking this journey with me, if you are doing local travel journaling, or if you're just into, you know, travel journaling in general, and you are maybe taking a special trip or you're going out of state or something like that, I would encourage you to save the little things that you might not think to save. Save bookmarks, save pieces from favorite stores, buy vinyl stickers. I know they can be a bit of an investment, but pick up one or two from the day. I guarantee you that when you look through your journal, when you come back to those memories, you're going to be happy that you saved these little things because they'll really bring you back to the day. All right, so the final part of this now is to go in and just embellish. So we have our basic page right now, and you can see I started to embellish with this figure drawing. Today for embellishing, I just took out a couple of things that I thought could maybe work. We have some green, brown, tan, and floral stamps. So I really, as you guys know, love using vintage stamps. I always save my tins. I don't know if you guys do, but a lot of stationery comes in really pretty tins. I always save them for storage. These are also from Album Love Handmade. We have butterflies, and we have these little ticket stubs. The tickets are really, really soft and light, and I don't feel like they conflict with any of the colors, so I thought they were a great thing to use too. They're also stickers, so that's always easy to play around with. If I do want more figure drawings, I tend to keep all of my printable figure drawings and sometimes my stickers too in antique like china bowls. This is a really special one to me. It's one that we used on our wedding celebration day. It is gold rimmed, it is antique, it's just a beautiful design, and it's something that makes me happy whenever I see it. As you guys know, I'm really into studio decor and special things in my studio. So this little bowl always makes me smile, and it's just filled with things that I've printed and cut out, and like I said, sometimes stickers. So we have a lot from Hippie Post, Teddy Ann. I can leave her information down below. I have some from Ploy. I can leave her information down below. I have some of my own that are in here too, and some just like random ones from Etsy that I've gotten. But yeah, I just find like it's really easy kind of just to have everything in the same place. So when you need to just grab a figure drawing, you can kind of know where they all are. I also just have some random stationery that I thought maybe could work. I did add some things that I got from Paper Minty Studio. There's some from Album Love Handmade. There's some just vintage ephemera that are just kind of smaller things that I've cut out, but I just put some things on my desk. These are vintage playing cards, but they're botanical, that I thought possibly could work as decorations. So we're just gonna play around with some different things and add to this page until we feel like it looks complete. All right, so I do feel like this half of the page is complete. As you guys can see, it looks like a really complete, comprehensive, well thought out, full page. This page isn't lacking in any way. It's not empty. It's actually a little bit fuller than I normally do because in this notebook, like I said before, I am writing. So I am making sure to leave. Some pages are just, you know, pages of memories and photos, but we are trying to keep some areas for journaling as well. So especially here, our last video, we made sure that there was quite a lot of space for writing and recording memories because that was an important part of this journal. So this is full. I mean, we can kind of write a little bit, but this really is just a very complete page. There really doesn't need to be much more done to it. I'm going to add a couple of more things over here, but I feel like if you were to look at this alone and you are new to junk journaling, new to travel journaling, new to art journaling or creative journaling, whatever you want to call it, you might see this and get overwhelmed. But again, we're just doing this step by step. We're starting with the piece of washi. We're layering just a couple of pieces of handmade paper. The handmade paper is great because it's textured, it's 3D, it gives a little bit more life and interest to the pages. Then all we did was take some vintage paper and cut it out, and then we added photos from the day, and then the last step was just to embellish a little bit, and I didn't even embellish that much. We have a figure drawing which kind of draws the eye as the subject. Then all I did was take these little tag stickers. I took a couple of little just kind of modern stationery stickers with a bit of a botanical feel to them, added a butterfly sticker up here and a vintage stamp. And all I did was just eyeball kind of what felt right to me, where I felt like the design needed to be balanced. But in reality, just these little pieces just kind of tied everything together, and there was nothing too overwhelming, I think, about this spread. So now I'm going to come back in this other side, and again, just really simple. We're going to keep things really, really simple. And the reason for that is this lace is taking up most of this, and I just feel like we don't really need a lot. All right, and now we're finished with the full layout. So this I already felt like was very busy because of the lace. I wanted to keep things really, really simple. So all I did was I added a butterfly, I added 2 little botanical sprigs, and 1 of these little stickers of the tags. I used similar things on both sides, so it tied the pages together. As we can see, both pages have this washi, both pages have one of these circles, both pages have these little tags, both pages have the butterflies from the same artist, and it just kind of brings everything together. Full spread, complete spread. I don't always love what I do. We're all artists. We all like what we do sometimes. We don't like what we do sometimes. I love everything about this. This is a page that I feel like I could share on Instagram. I feel really comfortable with it. I feel like I really attached to it, the aesthetic of it, the layout of it. I'm very happy with it. And really all it was just taking time to put things one by one, layer, and you can have a spread that kind of looks really complete, really complicated, even a little bit busy, and all it is just taking the time to layer. So let's go on to the next page. The next page I focused a little bit more on not just the plants but the things that they sold. They have these really beautiful mushroom cups, and I personally can only burn beeswax candles because I have allergy and asthma issues. Beeswax candles are really allergy and asthma friendly. They actually clean the air instead of pollute it. You can see I always have my candles going whenever I create. I just feel like it creates such a hygge, just cozy aesthetic in your craft room. It's just something, whether I'm sitting down to journal or sitting down to write, or write somebody a letter, it's just something that just always makes me want to be at my desk. It makes me happy. They had some really beautiful beeswax candles there. This was the pair that I picked up. So even things like that in your travel notebooks, like things you bought, things you admired, all of these things are pieces of your day. So right now we have that initial vintage botanical cutout. That was our first layering piece. We have the handmade paper. That was our second layering piece. The third were the photos of the day. The fourth, we added some lace. Now we're just going to come back in and do a little decorating. Now in this case, I'm going to try to keep my decorating where we already have things on the page, because these pages have been a little bit busier and I do really want to record moments. I'm going to try to keep as much of this empty white space down here as possible because it's lined, and it'll be where I fill out my journaling when I journal about this day. So right now I'm deciding between two different printables from Hippie Post. That's Teddy Ann. She gifted me with a bunch of her printables. I love her artwork so much. I think either one of these could work. Asheville is like a really hipster town. There's a lot of local artists. There's a lot of just vibrancy and just hipsterness to the town. I don't know how to put it, but it's really trendy. It's really hippie-ish. It's really like artisan. And I think these kind of have that feel to them. They're also very neutral looking, so I feel like they would work really well. But we also have these really, really adorable fairies. I personally love fairies and all kinds of, like woodland aesthetic things. And I feel like they would work really well with the botanical nature of this. But I feel like whatever I choose, I'm going to want to kind of duplicate on the other pages so they don't look too different. Because I already have some figure drawings that are just kind of regular girls and kind of neutral clothing, I think I'm going to stick with this set of Teddy Ann's drawings, and I'm going to use these to fill in the spots where I don't have those other stickers. I'm definitely using a mix of old and new stationery right now. Both of these are new stationery. This is new stationery. This is vintage. This is vintage. This is vintage. So my style is very vintage. That doesn't mean that I don't love playing with newer stationery too. So a lot of times when I am using new stationery, I also combine it with older vintage items, and I just like the way that looks. One thing I did want to point out is I personally think that collages look better when things are overlapped a little bit. This can be a little bit hard for me. I don't know if it's hard for you or not, but I tend to really love the things that I keep, especially the things that I put into my journals. So this daisy print I loved. It was difficult for me to cover up. I find that handmade paper, so much love and time and care from the artist went into it. It's very hard for me to cover it up. These photos, I am a photographer. That's what I used to do for a living. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I did that for 11 years of my life. So when I take photos, they are, very thought out. There a lot of times is a depth of field with them. They are edited. They have, a filter that kind of brings out the mood and the aesthetic that I'm looking for. So my photos are very precious to me. Anything that I put into my journal art-wise, whether it's one of my own printables or stickers or from another artist that I love, again, I really, really enjoy anything that goes into my journal, so it can be hard for me to cover things up. That said, I tend to think and feel that pages look best when they're a bit layered, when they're a bit collaged. So if you can, you take the white space in photos or the white space in, anything, and you can kind of cover just the edge of it, or a corner of it, or the bottom of something, or just a little bit of the side, or just a little bit of the picture. You still want to have most of the thing that you love in there, most of the photo visible, most of the art that you're enjoying. But just that little bit of kind of overlap with things to create more of a collaged effect, I personally find makes the page look a lot better and just more fun. I think it just has a better look to it. You do have to be a little brave, but and some people it doesn't bother at all. To me, I love the way it looks, but it's always a little bit hard for me to do. So I feel like right now I could actually fall in the trap of overdoing this page, putting more on just because I'm feeling like maybe something could go there, but I kind of like the way it is as is. Sometimes less is more, sometimes simpler is better. We just stuck a few different embellishments on this just to make it look better, look more special, look more thought out. Maybe I can stick something small up there. We are just trying to go, actually I like that. I feel like that fills in that space a little bit better and ties everything together. So now I feel like this is done. But really with our accents, we're just kind of coming in after the fact and we're trying to bring out the vibrancy of the page. We're not trying to overwhelm it. We're not trying to cover the memories. We're trying to enhance them and make things look beautiful. So there we go. That page is done now too. This one is pretty much finished. We did add this together. I had already added this embellishment. This is from my friend Erica Nick. She sent this to me as part of a Happy Mail. So I did put that there and I did put her there. So I think we're going to do very little with this page. I feel like most of it is done already. I wouldn't mind adding a butterfly or a moth just because we have that shadow box with the butterfly in the photo. I think that'll kind of accent that and bring that out. And don't be afraid to play. Don't be afraid to, put some things down. If you don't like them, you can just keep playing and layering. And don't be afraid not to, say, stick a sticker down right away and just kind of see where you'd like it to go. One thing I think we can struggle with is thinking that everything has to be Instagram worthy or Pinterest worthy. I do put my artwork on both Instagram and Pinterest, and YouTube worthy. It doesn't have to. These journals are for you, right? They're for your own memory keeping and your own memories. And I think sometimes we get so focused on, is our work going to be good enough? Is it going to live up to kind of other people's expectations or what other people are putting out there, that we can get a little too focused on that and not focused enough on our journals are our own, right? They're our keepsakes. So to me right now, this is done. I mean, I feel like I've seen such elaborate journal spreads lately. I've loved them. I've wanted to do them. I've wanted to play with things like that. But for me, like simplicity, like I've said, has always been what's in my heart. And it's what makes me happiest when I craft. It makes me happiest when I look back at my pages. My favorite journal spreads tend to be just things that simply came together and just were a reflection of my heart instead of a reflection of what I felt like people expected in the art community or the journaling community. This to me is exactly what I wanted. Again, there's nothing lacking or incomplete about this spread. It is fully embellished. It also does give me some room to add in some journaling, which is important to me. But again, it does not have to be complicated. Something as simple as just adding a vintage piece of fabric really brings out the just aesthetic and the feel of a page. We started again simply just with washi tape. Added in simply some vintage book paper that was ripped up. Again, simply just some circles. They were pre-made, pre-cut by Kinga of her handmade paper that gives us some texture, just like the lace did. This was just a piece of Happy Mail that I enjoyed, and then we just added a few different embellishments, nothing crazy, nothing too much or overdone, just where I felt like my eye felt like there needed to be a little something more. So that page is done. And how many more do we have to go? My book, I feel like my videos are always so long. I want to try to make them a little bit shorter. So maybe we will just tackle one more page together. And I will do the rest, because we only have 3 more pages of this left. Maybe I'll tackle this one with you guys, and I'll leave the rest for off camera so this isn't too long. I have been using pink and beige little tickets. Right now I am adding in some blue because we have some blue in the background of this vintage cutout and some blue in one of Kinga's handmade circles. And I've talked about rules of 3 before. Your eye tends to like groupings of 3. I don't really know why that is, but that is an art trick. So right now, drawing from the color scheme, I use the blue tickets and I use the rule of 3 where we have this 3 triangle going on here. We use the rule of 3 over here, and there's actually a rule of 3 going on here, and that this is a really big focus for your eye with these other 2. I personally don't know why our eye prefers groupings of 3 or triangles, or why our eye likes to be led in groups of 3, but it is a tried and true practice in art, and it really is very comfortable. It's very comfortable for our eye to rest that way. So I don't think we're going to do too much more to this. Maybe a figure here, just so there is a focal point here and a focal point here. I am kind of cheating a little bit with bringing fall decor a little bit into this. I did order these over the summer, but they are brown botanicals, and they actually do go with the aesthetic of these pages and like the color scheme of these pages. It's really hard to mess up with neutral colors, which is why I really enjoy working with them. But it also gives me a little bit of that fall feel that I've been itching for to play with in my journals, even though I know I have to finish up my summer spreads. This one was getting a little busy. I felt like I was going a little crazy with the botanicals, so I did add one more of these just to kind of ground it, just make it a little bit more grounded feeling. But yeah, that I think we're good here. Okay, I felt like that space up there was a little lacking, so I just added a vintage stamp. That was actually the only other vintage item aside from this print in the back, so I do feel like that added something to this too. Again, this looks busy, this looks complicated. We know it really wasn't. We started just with this background page. We simply added a few pieces, just 3, of handmade paper. Then we came in with our photos, and then we came in after that and just added a few different little embellishments just to kind of bring out the page and make it look pretty, make it into more of an art journal, more of a collage page. This one might not really contain more than just a little bit of notes, not really any kind of intense writing, but that's okay because we have a lot of the memories in the photos. So I am going to try not to make this video as long as my others. For those of you guys who have stuck with me during the longer videos, a lot of them tend to be more watched than the shorter videos. I always find that interesting. I appreciate that. I appreciate anyone that kind of hangs out with me, and I've had people say that they've sat down with their journals and put my videos on in the background, or they've put my videos on while they're doing their dishes, or another chore, or some people just like me enjoy just kind of sitting and spending time crafting together. So for you guys that do enjoy the longer videos, thank you so much for sticking with me. Definitely let me know in the comments how far you get into them if you reach the end. It just means a lot to me for your support. And yeah, I just have 2 pages that I'll wind up doing off camera. I'll finish up this one, and I'll finish up this one, and that will be the end for Flora. I hope that you guys enjoyed the footage of this shop. It is really beautiful. It's always fun to go to whenever we go, and we just have a little bit left, really not too much more to go. I think the rest of these pages will be Black Mountain, North Carolina, and like I said, even though we did go over the summer and it is fall now, it's definitely a very kind of like woodsy feeling town. It's a little town right in the mountains of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It has a very woodland feel to it, and I feel like that lends really easily to a fall aesthetic and using fall stationery. So that'll finish up our journal for us. As I said before, I was really happy to go back in and finish the journaling for all these other pages. I did that one day while in bed. It just felt great. And today we didn't do the entire page together, but I feel like we just kind of step by step explained how you can make really elaborate, really comprehensive and complete looking pages. And it's really just a step-by-step process. You can take things really simply and just layer and get a very complete spread. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with me. As always, this is a really, really special series to me. I think there's just going to be one more video kind of technically in this series because it'll close out this Carolina journal. But local travel is something that I am extremely interested in. Traveler's notebooks are things that I always keep. So I can assure you, if you've enjoyed this kind of content, it will be something that will always be on this channel. I will be switching to a different notebook. I already have an idea for what that is going to look like and what that's going to be. I already have places photographed and edited and ready to go for them. So even though our little Carolina local travel journey is going to be coming to an end, the next video, this style of video, will not be coming to an end. I have a lot more of North Carolina to show you guys. I have a lot of upstate New York to show you guys. I had this realization the other day that even though I can't go out as much as I used to, like I said, it's been getting to only around once or twice a month that I'm actually able to like get out of bed and go out. I have so much on my phone that was unedited from our trips to New York, which is where I'm from. It's home. We went upstate New York so many times, took so many pictures. They're just sitting unedited on my phone. They're sitting undocumented. And I was just like, I spend so much time in bed. There's no reason why I have to stop with my travel journals or sharing them on YouTube or creating them with you. I can just use pictures from last summer when I was healthier and I was able to do things and actually get them documented and recorded and put into a journal, which they hadn't been. They had just been sitting on my phone. So if you do enjoy this kind of content, rest assured a lot more is coming your way. This channel will always be something that does a wide variety of journaling, and local travel journaling is something, like I said, very close to my heart and will definitely be in a lot more videos in the future. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. If today is a hard day, I hope that you give yourself grace to be gentle with yourself, and I hope that there are moments sitting down with a journal, creating a collage, lighting a candle, baking a pie, making a good dinner, writing a letter to a friend, just something in your day that brings you moments of peace and joy. I am giving you all my love, and I will talk to you real soon.